How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, this video is for subscribers only, so if you haven't hit that little red subscribe button down below, go ahead and do that now. I'll wait. Earlier this year, I almost threw a fake no-hitter in the show, so we're gonna break that down. I call this crisscrossing the corner. You know, tunneling is a crazy concept. There's no way a big leaguer swings at that. If this ball's 1-7, he absolutely crushes it. Boom, that's the breaking point. Earlier this year, I made my first start at Kauffman Stadium since throwing the ball into center field, and I had a pretty good day. 7 innings, it was a doubleheader, so even if I had thrown a no-hitter, it technically wouldn't have counted because there's a rule in the rule books that says 7 innings doesn't count. It has to be a complete 9 innings or more. So it would have been a fake no-hitter, but I threw a one-hitter instead, and it was a good game. It was fun. So I got it loaded up here, and I'm going to watch through it again and comment on some of the things that I see and what happened and what I was thinking. So come along for the ride. First guy up, Whit Merrifield, and here we go. First pitch of the game. Elevated fastball, pop up, fastball down strike, bunt attempt. Nice play right there. And then first pitch. This is dangerous. Not where I'm trying to go here. I'm trying to go away, and it gets down and in. And he's right on it and just misses it. That could very easily have been a homer, but ended up as a pop-up, which I'm thankful for. So first inning, first thing I see is they're being very, very aggressive. I threw 4 pitches, 4 strikes, and they put 3 of them in play. So they clearly came out ready to swing early. So that's what's going on in my head as I move into the second inning. Get that catch right there. Soler. This is a strike. Technically a strike. There's a lot of strikes up there. But judging this reaction actually led me to something later in this at bat. So while it looks like kind of a waste pitch, it gave me a lot of information. You can see his reaction right here. His first movement is this way. So he's clearly looking kind of out over the plate. You can see him moving this way. The shoulders are turned in. And then immediately when he sees this kind of coming up towards him, he shuts it down and kind of backs out of the way, and the ball comes back to the inside part of the plate. So it gave me 2 things to look for. One, he's looking somewhere out over here because his whole body is moving this way. And 2, anything that starts over in here and comes back this way is probably going to be a freeze. All right, so moving on forward. We're 1-0 here, second pitch. Slider away, 1-1. Get the call there. So Kurt did a great job here. This ball is technically off the plate, but you can see Kurt's glove just brings it back as part of the catching motion. So you can watch the glove here. Arm extends to get to the outside part of the ball so that when the ball contacts the glove, it just naturally pulls it right back in. So get that call, get to 1 and 2. 1-1 is the biggest swing count of all the counts. It changes the most in the expected outcome of the at bat. So getting to 1-2 versus 2-1 is a great thing. We try the fastball away because, let's see here. So I'm trying to go down in this box because I know that Jorge takes that pitch almost exclusively, and it's a good setup on his part because pitchers miss in this zone so much that, and he's probably not going to hit that pitch in the box anyway. So it's a pretty good setup on his part. But if you can execute that pitch, you have a strikeout here, and I just end up missing up and away. But you can kind of see this reaction. He's looking out there. I feel like he's looking slow because he's way behind on this pitch if he's going to swing. And you can kind of see it catches him off guard a little bit. You see his feet are like kind of choppy in the box. So this pitch clearly caught him off guard. To me, he's looking slow over there. So we try to come back with it again to get it down, again in this box, and this is why this setup is so good, because I miss over here and it's a ball, and he has no intention of swinging at this pitch. Very little, there's no hip trigger, it's just he sees it down away and he just completely shuts it down. So he buys himself 2 strikes there to get back to 3-2. We finally get one in that box and he does swing. I've led him over here twice to look kind of out in that area. So now he sees this pitch over in that area and he's like, yep, that's a strike, and we get that trigger and we get the foul ball. And to me now, it's like, okay, well, he's clearly seen out here. He's looking out there. So what can I throw him? If I throw him a fastball in here and he doesn't swing, first off, it's very difficult to get swings in 3-2 counts in this area because generally hitters are looking slow. So anything they see up here, they're going to freeze and they're not going to swing because it's going to surprise them. Anything hard that they see up in this box anyway, because the pitch up there is going to be moving kind of in towards them. And they're looking for a pitch that kind of starts there and is moving away from them or is moving down. So as soon as this fastball kind of takes off and shoots up towards this up and in part, usually they shut it down, which means you have to rely on being able to get the ball in this zone and having the umpire call it. So generally not a great freeze pitch with 2 strikes. It can be a very effective one to lefties, especially if you have a comeback 2-seam, but to righties, it's not nearly as effective for me anyway. But going back to the first pitch of the at-bat, something that starts in here, he kind of shut it down on. And what we just talked about is that anything that he sees coming up in this area, he's probably going to shut it down on. And so Kurt and I decided to go with a front hip slider and execute this really well. So you can watch his reaction. He completely shuts it down here, very little hip trigger. And it's just a freeze, and the ball comes back. Now, this pitch doesn't look like it does a whole lot from this camera angle, but this pitch ends up over this part of the plate. It also moved 15 inches. So this is 6 inches, 12 inches. So this ball probably started right in here at him or like at his hip or something like that. And so it just got that freeze effect and came back over in the inside corner of the plate. So really, really well executed pitch there. But I learned from the first pitch of the at-bat kind of what I could do to finish him off. Okay, next up. Fastball strike, backdoor cutter strike. So now I've thrown one that's kind of up here and one that's kind of wrapped around and come back. That's bad. Let me redo that. So I've thrown one that's kind of gone this way and one that's kind of gone out this way and come back to the same spot. Both have been up, so I've targeted this elevation of the strike zone. So I figure here, if I start something in this elevation, a curveball, and break it down, probably have a pretty good chance. Now, I think I have him here. If this pitch is a little bit closer, if this pitch is kind of in this area, I think it's a swing. You can see there's definitely buy-in, the hip trigger, and he wants to, but he lays off it because the pitch just missed by a little bit too much. And then try that up and away again. So we have 3 pitches that have started at this elevation. So I tried to throw a fastball kind of up and out. I hit my spot perfectly. And he just happens to get the barrel on it. So good sequence there. Cutter away, slider away, and so this is one of my favorite sequences. Whoops, let's see where we're at here. So this one breaks about 5 inches laterally. So it starts on this part and it ends up here. The next one breaks about 15 inches laterally, so it ends up on the white. It ends up here and probably started in here. So you throw this one, you throw the cutter, this one here first, and he sees it end up on the plate for a strike. You throw one that starts inside of that, and he assumes it's going to be middle. He swings, and this ball runs way off the corner or the cap of the bat, and we get this weak little ground ball to second. Fastball. Okay, so on that one, I missed my spot, but he's late on it. He fouls this pitch off. You can see this pitch gets in on him, gets in on the hands of the barrel before full extension. So he's full extended kind of in between this frame and that frame right there, these two. Right there. So he's a little bit late on this, and it's down. So I feel like I can go up here, or I can run something in on him to kind of further that, being behind on it in that jam. Come here, we throw a cutter. Wasn't the best one, but he takes it. And now after the cutter that ends up here, it probably started up here. So I'm thinking again, fastball elevated, but I missed by a little bit. And then, so this, I start off this at bat pretty well. I'm 0-2. And then this pitch here is a waste, way too far up. I'm trying to go here. I probably missed by a good foot and a half. And then after that, I'm trying to land a curveball in the zone, figuring it would start up here and come down. So it looked the same and I get the freeze. And of course, I miss with that pitch too. So now I'm 2-2 after 2 waste pitches. The first one was a waste pitch, but I could have used it for the freeze on the next one. But now that I wasted the next one, now we're basically, we've reset the at-bat. And then we come back here with the freeze down. The only thing that was good about that is the cutter started up here and the fastball and the curveball both started up there. So I've drawn his eyes to this part. I've drawn his eyes up here. So now this down freeze fastball is the next play because he's been looking up. He sees something down and just takes the ball right down the middle. Backdoor cutter missed by a lot. Fastball missed by a lot. Finally get one in the zone. He's a little bit late. Come in. He's a little bit late. And then we go back away. This one is just kind of I miss with 2 pitches, and then once I see this one here that he's a little bit late on, you can see here how he's contacting this ball right here, and he's getting to full extension like next frame. So this ball beat him a little bit. So I read that and I say, okay, next pitch, I'm going to go in more because it's harder to get extended on a pitch in than it is away. And you can see that alligator arm kind of drawing the hands in towards the body right here to try to get the barrel to it. And it's late and this ball's by him. I could have gone up a little bit more in here and probably gotten a swing and miss. But with 2-2, I didn't really want to... I didn't want to take the chance that he takes it and I go 3-2. So my thought here was, let me land a fastball down here. After everything he's seen, the cutter he saw that started down there ended up as a ball. So that's going to set this height as take in his head. And the rest of the things he's seen have been in this area. So I think, okay, I'll freeze down here and miss kind of away, but we get that excuse me swing. So that was good. Ball off, strike. Get that freeze. So this one we get the freeze down in the 1-1 count. So now that kind of wastes the freeze effect for strike 3. So we got to go somewhere else. Curveball down. Really good take on his part. So I executed this curveball perfectly. This is exactly where I want this curveball. And he didn't really budge at this at all. He sees it. So to me, that means he's sitting slow. He's waiting on a pitch he's looking for it to break. And so we decide to come right in here with a fastball, and that's exactly kind of what we get, which is he sees something up, he starts at it because he thinks it's going to be a breaking ball that comes here and then breaks down into the zone, and realizes that it's up out of the zone and gets this excuse me, can't hold up, take. So that's kind of reading the hitter's body language and what he's telling me right there. Merrifield's up again, so he swung at the first pitch fastball. I decided to throw him a cutter here to see where he's at, and he takes. So now we're in kind of a normal Whit Merrifield at bat where he's kind of working the at bat along with me. Bad slider right there that we miss. Repeat the same thing. Now he tells me he wants to swing here. 1-1. He sees this. He's like, okay, I'm going to swing and lays off. So I know that he's looking somewhere kind of up here because this pitch happened to look like something he wanted to swing at. So we try to go fastball in, and I just yank it. Kurt did a fantastic job, actually, of like, look how far away he is. So he's set up in here, and then this ball ends up way across, but he's still able to get underneath the ball. You can see the level of the glove right here. Most of the glove is below the baseball. So when he catches this, he's able to like be working up with it. The only problem is the umpire is sitting here looking for something in here. He sees the pitch yanked way over here, and it looks even further off the plate than it really is, even though Kurt did a great job of catching that. 3-1, got to throw a strike here. We get this elevated fastball that beats him, and I should have read that and gone back to a fastball, but I didn't, and I tried to throw a cutter kind of over here in this area. Probably if I throw the cutter over there, it would have looked like this fastball up here. It probably would have gotten a swing, maybe a weak ground out, but it probably was destined to be a hit, but we just miss up. So tried to go backdoor cutter there, missed middle. Didn't seem like he liked something chasing him, so we decided to go in here, but we missed by a lot. Stolen base. Okay, now my velocity jumped about 2 miles an hour here because I don't want to give up a run, so Witt's on second, no outs. I'm like in a bad situation. This ball clearly beats him by a lot. He's well underneath it and well laid on that. So we try to go right back in there. Tried to go right back into this spot to get that swing and miss. Obviously just yank it down. So this at bat is kind of all over the place. We've gone middle cutter, and then we missed in here, and then we get a swing up here, and we missed down there. There's no real flow to this at bat. Try that freeze down and away, but this freeze down and away hasn't been set up by pounding a certain elevation. You know, we've hit this with a fastball and a cutter, but we've also hit like over here and down with pitches. So it's like he doesn't know exactly. I haven't drawn his attention to one specific area, so the freeze doesn't work. He fouls it off, and then we get that cutter. Learning from the first pitch, he didn't seem to like the ball chasing him too much. We get this cutter up and in, and this really, excuse me, bad swing. So I executed a good pitch there, but it wasn't a very good sequence necessarily. It just happened to beat him with one specific pitch. Cutter away. Kurt gets this strike call. Just got to highlight this again. You see the glove get to the outside part of the ball so that he can bring this back in. Right there. So this one is clearly a ball. And get the strike call, and he's like, I don't know about that. He's like, no, that's not a strike. Yeah, you're right. It's not a strike, but it got called a strike. So a big swing in my advantage there. Fastball off. This is definitely, again, not a strike. But you see Kurt just stealing balls back there. This is a great example. The glove works to the outside of the ball, and then in one fluid motion, it's back in the zone. So if you just kind of watch this, watch Kurt's glove work around the ball and bring it back in one clear motion. Whoop. Very smooth. So now we're 0-2, and he's like, you got to be kidding me. I should be 2-0 right now, but it's 0-2. Here goes Witt taking off to third. And he takes third. This pitch is a slider, and it actually is close to where I want it. I mean, ideally this pitch would end up here after a cutter that ends up here and a fastball that ends up over here. Something that starts inside of this and works to the outside of it is what I'm going for. And we get the trigger. You can see he triggers here. He buys in a little bit and shuts it down pretty early because I missed too much. So we give up the stolen base on that. Come back and we yank one that's nowhere close. Now after two that have started out here and gone this way, that he's clearly shut down on, I'm thinking, here we go, we're going to run a fastball back here and just freeze him. Yep, and that's exactly what we get. So this whole like slider starts here and runs off. If you don't swing, then when you see something starting off on this line, you're going to assume, you're going to read it as a slider that's going to end up over here, and it's a fastball that comes back. And so this whole like crisscrossing the outside corner is super effective. So executed this at bat actually really well. Two misses, big misses down here that were probably too big. I probably could have ended the at bat 2 pitches earlier if I got this slider in this location here as opposed to bouncing it down there. But learned from those two, was able to use them and execute a pitch right here. Here to Soler, I'm not interested in throwing him a strike. So this slider is way off. You can see he's clearly interested in swinging. He wants to drive this run in. Watch the feet kind of chopping up there. He barely holds up. So try it again. He almost swings. You see the same motion with the feet. At this point, after 2 sliders over here, I don't want to throw him a slider that's closer to the plate because he's looking to swing and he's going to be more likely to hit this pitch after seeing 2 over here. Now he sees one that's closer to him and his attention is already being drawn this way. So we're kind of meeting here in the middle. So the pitches are working back this way while his attention is working out this way, and they're going to meet out here. So I'm not too interested in throwing him a slider that's closer to the plate here. So we throw him one again. He wants to swing, but he shuts it down. And then this one, he's pretty clear that I'm not going to throw him anything, so he just shuts it down pretty early out here. So this at bat might look like I wasn't anywhere close, but in my head, I was like, I don't really feel like facing Soler here. I'll get the guy on deck. And he was good. He did a good job of being disciplined and not chasing out of the zone. Strike down. Get this cutter, this backdoor cutter or slider. I forget. I think it was a slider actually that misses down. Pretty good pitch, but he just doesn't bite at it. Probably because it starts way out here. So if this is going to be an effective pitch, it has to end up in the zone because you're going to get a lot of freeze with the pitch working back this way. So doesn't bite. We go to 1-1. Yank a ball in, which really kind of upset me because after fastball down, backdoor here, this area is wide open. And then if I execute this, breaking balls, sliders, anything like that, a fastball up and away is all open, but I miss it. So now we try to get it back in the count here. Again, you see this yank. Kurt does a great job again of getting over there and getting below the ball so he can bring it up, but just not going to get that call when you miss by 1.5 feet. So now we're 3-1. I don't want to walk him, so we challenge him kind of middle. And this ball probably should have gone a long way, but he's a little bit late on it, and you can see the ball's a little bit above his barrel. 96 with elite spin rate, so you can make mistakes like this. When you have elite stuff, you can make mistakes like that and get away with it. And he swings hard, his helmet falls off, he kind of looks out at me like, how did you get away with that? So I try to do the exact same thing here. Gets in on him a little bit, 97. Jams him. So he's a little bit late on middle, and you can see this. He kind of pulls his hands in and gets right off the that transition between the black of the barrel and the handle. So I definitely get in on him, and we get this little jam shot, get out of the inning. Fastball up and in, missed my spot, but got away with it. Fastball up, ball, fastball in, late. This is telling me something. So this area here to me is wide open. He's late on this elevation, can climb the chain here. You go backdoor cutter and don't get this call. So this is kind of interesting to watch. So Kurt does a great job here. Glove outside the ball, bringing it right back in. Does not get this call. He pauses a little bit. I'm sure there's a little bit of communication going on here. Like, hey, did you have that off? What did you think? I had that on the corner. So Kurt's sitting here working the umpire right now. Come back here, cutter down and in. Try to go with this up and away. So after this cutter down and in, it kind of started up here. I wanted to run a fastball kind of up this way and get the swing, knowing that he was late on this one. But again, this at bat kind of has no rhyme, no reason to it. It's just kind of all over the place. And then there's the fastball that I wanted. He was late on it. And then we come back down with the freeze. So clearly he read this as going to be a breaking ball. We execute a good pitch there and get that freeze. Cutter up and away. Curveball. And this is the lone hit of the night. Execute this pitch, and you can see kind of where this is. Let's see. Here. There. Top shelf. We get a swing. I probably should have read that and thrown a different pitch here, but I haven't thrown a whole lot of curveballs tonight. So we come back with a curveball, and you can see it's following almost the exact same trajectory up, and it ends up way in a different spot. This is probably the best curveball that I've thrown this season up until this point. I talked to Kurt about that actually in the dugout afterwards. I was like, man, I felt like I really got that one. I really clicked that one. Could have been over here, but generally speaking, my curveball sweeps a little bit. It's not, let me change colors here. My curveball doesn't go straight down. It has about 6 inches of run to it, so it kind of follows this. So when you set the target here, the curveball ends up middle a lot of times because it kind of has that sweep to it. And that's exactly what happens here. Curveball ends up kind of back middle in a space where you can get on it, and just barely gets over the head of my first baseman here for the hit. Fastball down, strike. Tries to bunt this one, but after going here and after seeing this, he hasn't offered anything. He hasn't gotten a swing off. Trying to bunt through a shift, I believe here. I think we're in a shift, so he's trying to bunt through it. Kind of made me mad. His reaction right there is like frustrated with himself, and then just blow a fastball right by him. Here we go with Witt. So he's swung at first pitch, fastball. He's taking first pitch cutter. We're in the 6th with a 5-0 lead, so I'm going to force the action. So I make sure and get a little bit more of the plate to get strike 1. Curveball down, no movement from Witt at all. Slider, no movement from him. Fastball away, and he's on it. So Witt's a very hard one to read because if you look at this slider, look at his body language. He sees it and he's like, nope, not going to swing. And this pitch doesn't miss by a ton. Like this slider here has a lot of the zone in this area for a long time before it ends up off the plate. So there's very little buy-in there. And if you go back to this curveball, you see almost the exact same look. Like there's no buy-in. There's no buy-in. And then he gets a pitch that starts in the same place that the slider started, and it looks the same. It's like no buy-in. And then he's like, yep, that's a strike. And he triggers, quick bat, and actually squares this ball up pretty well, but just happens to hit it right at someone. So it's one of the things that makes Witt such a tough out is he can read pitches for a long time and then still get the barrel to them. All right, here we go. Backdoor cutter that we miss with. Backdoor cutter that we miss with. Kurt steals this one. Gets underneath it. Gets it. Now the umpire this time is on the inside part of Kurt's shoulder, looking away. So when this ball runs back, he has a very clear view of the inside corner and where this ball is. So we actually get that strike. Fastball in a bad location, and Phil makes a great play out there for me. This whole at bat was all over the place. I didn't execute very well at all. And this probably should have been a hit, but I get lucky and Phil makes a great play. Fastball down and away. Can't really get to it. We get a quick out. And here's Jorge. I haven't thrown him a fastball to start an at bat yet, so I decided to throw him a fastball, and he's not fooled at all. He is right on it and gets a great swing off and just happens to pop it straight up. So it's fortunate there. But getting some quick outs here. You can see 82. We're bottom of the 7th with 1 out right now, only 82 pitches. So a lot of quick outs, which has been nice this game. Fastball up. Nope. Fastball away. We get the call. No, we don't get the call. So now here, Kurt is... Watch Kurt, because this comes back later in the at-bat. Nope. There's a little bit of pause there, a little bit of body language, probably a little bit of communication between Kurt and the umpire, because that was definitely a strike, and the umpire kind of missed it. So we're 2-0 here. We come back, fastball in, freeze, backdoor cutter that's in the same spot as the fastball. We get the strike call. Try the backdoor slider and miss. I'm frustrated. Like this whole situation with me, I'm like, golly, I just missed it. I had the strikeout. So now we come back with the fastball down. We get the pop-up and the backdoor cutter. And now this pitch is the exact same pitch that earlier we didn't get. Kurt does a great job. He gets outside of it, brings it back in. Probably some of this conversation that happened between Kurt and the umpire earlier in the game on asking him where it was and this and that and the other, saying I think it's a good pitch. I think he executed it. Whatever the conversation going on there. Now here in the 7th, we throw the exact same pitch and we get the call. And you see the frustration here on O'Hearn's part. He's like, swing the bat. Or he's upset that it was a ball and he just was frustrated. But definitely a little bit of gamesmanship there between Kurt and the umpire. You know, as the game goes along, you build this narrative, you build this rapport with the umpire. If the pitcher executes enough pitches, then you start getting more calls as the game goes along. So, last guy of the game, here we are. Or not last guy. Good cutter there, we miss, and then I just yanked 3 fastballs, nowhere close. I wasn't sure what was going on here with my delivery. I hit the same exact spot 3 times. I couldn't make an adjustment. So this makes me mad because I end up walking a guy. 3rd walk of the game. One of them was intentional with Soler, but I walked Merrifield on a non-competitive, 3 non-competitive pitches, and then this one on 3 non-competitive pitches. So this one made me really mad. Come back here, bunt. I don't know why we're trying to bunt here. Down 5-0, but to each their own. Get that fastball up and away to get back in the count, and then we get one that's a little bit more hittable and goes right to Phil out there. So that's the almost no hitter. It wouldn't have counted anyway, so it would have been fake. But one pitch, one hit through 7, and a 5-0 win. So that was my return to Kauffman. The last game I was there, I gave up a whole bunch of runs and threw the ball out of center field. This game got my retribution, and things went a little bit better for me. So hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you haven't hit that subscribe button already, you shouldn't have been watching this video, but I'll give you a second chance to hit it right now, and I'll see you guys in the next video.